Hey, what's up Nerdgasm fans? Jerry here, aka Barnacules, and this is a 3D printer. But when I want to 3D print somewhere else other than home, this thing's a pain in the ass to lug around. Could you imagine taking this into Starbucks? They'd look at you like you were crazy.
There has gotta be a better way.
And I bet it's inside this box.
What's in the box?
All right, guys, time to find out what's in the box. As you can see, there's like no graphics or text or really anything. There's just a sticker on the end that says Dim3W Smart 3D Printing Pen. So at least we know it's a 3D printing pen. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. Oh, it's not even taped, so we can't even use bat knife. Who am I kidding? We can always use bat knife. All right, it's not. All right, so open up the box. Here on top, we have a little printout. Looks like it was printed on a 24-pin dots matrix printer. It says Dim3W Smart 3D Printing Pen. Now, for you guys that are wondering, I picked this up from MassDrop. MassDrop.com is one of those sites where they do like group buys, and then the more people that want to buy it, the cheaper they get the product for. So it was so cheap, I couldn't pass it up. It was one of those things where it was like, it's in my 3D printing space. I wanted to see if I could do something useful with it. But anyways, it's got some instructions on here. It has some cautions about, don't operate if you're under 12 years old because you'll probably just use it to burn yourself and others. No direct touch is allowed on the pen nozzles. Don't touch the pen nozzle. And it said it may cause smoke and mild odor. So that's good to know. Let's go ahead and set the instructions aside for a moment. It looks like inside in a vacuum sealed pouch, we have some ABS and I think some PLA, because it says it does ABS and PLA. So we got two plastic types. We have what appears to be an AC adapter here from ECC. Let's see, it's 12 volts at 3 amps. So that's a fair amount of power. And then we have the pen, which actually is pretty ergonomic. I was expecting this to be a lot more bulkier from the pictures that I saw. And it's got a button there and a button there. So I'm thinking that's retract and that's extrude. I'm just guessing at this point. We'll have to look at the instructions. And then it's got this little slider doohickey on the side. And there's nothing else in there but some foam.
Now we know what's in the box!
Box! Yeah. All right, so we got the startup guide here. It says power on, plug the 12-volt power adapter into the plug, and when it's powered on, the power LED should turn red. Let's see if that's the case. All right, we got a green LED on the power brick. All right, we'll plug that into the top here. And we have a red LED lit up right there, so apparently we're doing it right. Okay, to activate the pen, press the forward button to activate the pen, and the status LED will turn yellow. Wait for a couple minutes until the status turns green. All right, okay, so we got a yellow and a green. It says wait a couple minutes until the status LED turns green. Well, there's one that's green and there's one that's yellow. Oh, I smell burning plastic and I can see a little thing extruding out of the tip. You guys probably can't see that on the camera, but I'll get you some close-ups later. Well, at least I can use bat knife to clean the tip off. It looks like there's some excess plastic from when they tested it. I would be really careful with the tip too because it seems like it's ceramic. It looks like you could shatter the tip if you were too crazy with it. The back button doesn't do anything. Okay, so it says to load filament, insert the 1.75 millimeter ABS filament into the feeding hole and press the forward button until it comes out the nozzle.
That's what she said.
No, bat knife! Bat knife! Woo! Urgh. Man, now my whole room smells like burning plastic. All right, so we got some blue, we got some black, we got some orange. Let's go with orange. Orange is a cool color that I never use. All right, so now we got our bundle of filament. Looks like you just feed it in the top. It's a nice tapered little hole. And then push forward. Oh, it's feeding it. Oh, it's sucking it in. Wait for it. Oh, here it comes. And there we have it, our first extrusion. Sorry if I don't look at the camera, guys. I'm still getting used to this whole, I have an LCD screen below it, and I keep looking at the screen and not the lens. All right, so next, we've got the filament loaded. It says press the forward button, and then the speed control to adjust, okay, it says adjust the extruding speed by sliding the CVS control bar. Okay, so this is the CVS control bar, so that's fast. Oh no, it's actually backwards. That's slow, super fast. Even though it seems like it's an analog slider, it's only got two speeds, super slow or super fast. That's a little disappointing. But let's go ahead and keep it on super fast.
Ooh, hot.
Okay, now it says in the instructions, press the back button to unload the filament. My back button is broken. So I guess the only way to get the filament out is to cut it and extrude it all out the other end. So that kind of sucks. So we've already got a quality control issue. So the Dim3W Smart printing gun, you guys got some QC issues. But if I had the choice between forward or backwards, I'll take forward all day long. All right, well, let's see what this thing can do. All right, so let's start off. We got a piece of paper here. And the first problem I already noticed with these 3D printing pens, they get goobers on the end, so you gotta clean the goobers off. Let's extrude a little. Okay, goobers are removed. And let's go ahead and make a cube. Okay, there's one. Oh. Let it cool. Come on. Stop being flaccid. All right, let's try this again. Okay, I had to blow on it for a little while to get it to stand up. I'm having to blow on it lightly. That one I made too short. There we go. Alright, well, that's okay. Now let's see if we can actually bridge these together. Doesn't look very good. Alright, let's try from here to here. I mean, it does stick to the other filament. And we did technically make a 3D sort of cube looking thing. Alright, so that's our little cube. Oh, it already broke when I picked it up. So realistically, so far, the pin's not that practical for doing anything. The neat thing is it does seem to stick to the paper well, and I would imagine that it would also stick to fabric. Let's give that a try. Alright, so here I have one of my old Barnacules Nerdgasm shirts that I had printed from swag.barnnerd.com. Let's go ahead and outline this and see how well it sticks. Clean the booger off. Oh, now it's a red light. Why is it a red light? Okay, here we go. Apparently when I set it down, it turned itself off, so I had to warm up again, so at least it has a safety feature on it. Alright, let's try this out. Now the speed does vary. I noticed when you start printing, it starts fast and then it slows down because the print head doesn't maintain a constant temperature very well. But again, this is a cheap little pen, so it'll be one of those things where it's like you'll make up for those inconsistencies just by learning how well it works. So it's fairly easy to draw with. The lines aren't that clean, but the plastic does definitely stick to the shirt, which is cool. So here, we'll try signing it down here. Here we go. It's easy to write on the fabric. It does have all these like little things that you basically got to snip off with scissors. But it does look like it stays on the fabric. But you can see just with some light brushing, it comes off. So it doesn't hang on very well. Now, depending on what types of fabrics you're using and everything like that, I'm sure you could get better adhesion if you went slower and like really embedded it in the fabric. Like here, let's try just like doing a line. Let's go ahead and just push that nozzle down into the fabric. Okay. Let that cool. No, see again, it just comes off. So I've seen demos of these pens where they use them on clothing, and if you're careful with the clothing, you could do it, but honestly, this wouldn't survive like going in the wash, or you even just like brushing crap off your shirt. Here, let's try to use it to draw on a plastic toy. This will be something kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and give her a horn. That's 1, 2. Okay, so now she's got 2 little horns. Okay, let's circle her eyeballs.
This will only hurt a lot.
Oh. It tends to run. It does bind to plastic really well, though. It doesn't, like I got it on her, it didn't want to come off easy, and it actually took the paint off with it. So, if you're using it on a plastic surface, it seems like it would work pretty good. It definitely needs more speed control, though, because you have to move at a constant speed. And your options are unbearably slow or way too fast. Okay, so we circled her face. Let's give her laser eyes. Oop. There's one. You gotta wait a long time for it to cool and blow on it gently. Alright, so now she has laser beam eyes. Pew pew! Pew 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 pew! Alright, let's try to build up some layers. Regular 3D printers print a layer at a time, so let's go ahead and try it like that. And also I should note at this point that the tip of the pen is almost getting uncomfortable to hold, so I'm having to back off a little bit. So that's another negative. This thing actually has quite a few drawbacks. All right, well, let's try doing layer-based printing here. Now I noticed the longer you print, it actually starts to hang up and push the tip towards you like the plastic's coming out cold. It doesn't do a very good job melting the plastic prolonged. Like I can actually feel it pushing. I don't think the heater in it's capable of melting the filament at full speed for long periods of time. All right, well, that's a pretty bad first layer. Let's go ahead and do a second layer now. It's slowing way down. I think it's having a hard time pushing the material through because it's not melting as much. Okay, so there's a second layer. Let's do a circle. Let's see if we can build a little cylinder. Let that cool. So I was able to make like a little ball on the top of it. All right, so far this thing is just a complete novelty. I couldn't see you actually using this to make anything really creative. Now, I've seen videos where they've made some pretty cool designs and stuff, but I'd imagine for this to work, you would need a cool area. You'd need a fan blowing on it constantly to cool the plastic, because I always see the videos where they do this. They go up and then they just stop and they release. You see how it just falls over like that? It's because either they're accelerating the video or they have something blowing on it to cool it, because you have to let it cool for quite a bit of time. See, like right about now. See, it still fell over. It takes too long to cool, so you'd need cool air blowing on it. Look at that. So as long as you have something cooling it. Now, what they should have done with this pen is it should have had a fan inside of it blowing across the tip to solidify the material so you didn't have to go so slow. So now if you wanted to do a standing up, maybe you could put it on the lowest speed. It's going to take forever, but I should be able to extrude a line going very, very slow. I mean, this is unbearably slow. So as long as you go super, super slow and you've got years and years to wait for your final product, you could, in theory, just do it this way. All right, guys, so far this thing is a complete gimmick. I mean, one, there's a quality control issue. Two, it doesn't consistently melt the material. The motor slows down the faster you go and the longer you go, which is a big problem. The material comes out really fast at first, and then it like starts to slow down a little bit and slows down, and then strain, 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 stop. So now I've pretty much proven that the thing's next to worthless for like craft stuff. I mean, you could use it for maybe attaching things to stuff. Like, let's try to use it like a hot glue gun. So if I put a little on there, and then stick him on there, and then wait. Now you have a plastic bond between two things. So I could see it being used for crafts work, for like, you know, maybe putting buttons on things and gluing things that are plastic together. But honestly, for like doing crafts and actually making like little complex objects and stuff like that, yeah, it's a novelty. All right, so now we've gotten the novelty out of the way. Let's see if we can actually purpose this thing for something useful. But since my back button's broken, I have to bust the filament off and feed it all the way through, which is a waste of filament. Okay, for our next thing, I'm gonna feed the black filament through it, because I actually have something that, if I'm successful at, will justify the purchase of this 3D pen and make it a cool tool in my arsenal. Now I just gotta let it run until the black filament comes out. And I'm like seriously getting high off the fumes. You can also see it's very messy. All right, so last winter I stored a ton of gas for my generator in 5-gallon gas cans. You know, those little red plastic cans? And you can see the collars here completely cracked and broke open. So from the pressure, because I didn't have the pressure relief open. So what I'm gonna try to do, I was just thinking about it and I was like, you know what? This extrudes molten plastic. Well, I can't use hot glue on these because the gasoline will melt down the hot glue, but the gasoline won't affect the ABS. So let's see if we can glue these back together and make them like new using this 3D pen. First off, I highly recommend washing these first, because you don't want them to catch fire with gasoline all over them. All right, so you can see where it's pushed apart. I'm gonna fill in that whole gap with plastic. Here we go. Maybe we're gonna coat the crack on the outside. Okay, filled in the crack. Now I'm just letting it cool, and then I'll add a little bit more. Definitely doesn't look pretty, But if it works, it'll save me money from having to buy new cans. Okay, this time I pushed it in really deep and pushed a lot of plastic in there. But you can still see it's not acting as glue like I wanted it to, and it's probably because this is a different type of plastic than the ABS, and the two just are not bonding together. Yeah, it's just not strong enough. So I thought it would really work on that, guys, but it didn't. So really the only use I could see for this beyond just the novelty of, hey, look, I can, 3D print something on a sheet of paper. I mean, it's basically drawn with a thick marker. Is really if you had ABS or PLA-based 3D prints and you wanted to patch them up. Or the Nerd Cave box opening knife. This actually did print in ABS, so this is proper ABS material. So technically it should work good on stuff like this. Like you can see the blade is getting eroded away. Let's see if we can bring the blade back. Let's try doing the slow speed. So as you can see there, if you go on the lowest speed, you actually can fix things and clean them up. So this might actually have some use yet in the future, but still, it's largely novelty, and with the quality control issues, I don't know if I'd recommend it. I don't think I would. Well guys, I'd have to say it was fun playing around with the Dim3W Smart 3D printing pen, but I do have quite a few issues with it. And that is, even though it was fairly inexpensive, I don't like the fact that it has an analog slider on it that's just one mode or the other. It should just be a switch. Because it gives you the indication that you think that you could like change it in increments. And even the documentation makes it seem like that should happen. Well, it's not happening with this one. So again, it could be a quality control issue, or it could literally just be false advertisement. So if you guys have one of these that acts differently than mine, please let me know down in the comments. Or better yet, come and tweet me at Barnacules. It's a lot easier to get a hold of me on the social network than it is here on YouTube. Also, I had the problem where the back button just doesn't work. It literally, the little button just flops around in there and doesn't actually hit a physical switch. So but the switch inside of there is actually broken. So the only way for me to change the filament is to break it off and feed it all the way through the unit, which takes a lot of time. Now, aside from the problems that I had with it mechanically, the things that I noticed was it wasn't very easy for me to draw things or do things other than simply printing my name. Building things on like the Y-axis up and down was damn near impossible because you had to let the stuff cool and you had to blow on it, and it's a lot harder than it's looked in videos that I've seen. And I tried to use it to fix those gas caps, and although it did seem like it worked and it was melting the material together, because the materials were different, they didn't bond together properly, so I could easily just break them apart. I also tried on some ABS stuff like the little Barnacules knife thing that I use, my box cutter. That was actually printed in ABS, and the material, bound to that really well, but I couldn't get it to lay down in nice smooth lines. It wanted to coil up and bind up or come out thick, and it's just really, really hard to get it right. So if you have a surgeon's hand, I could see you probably doing some cool stuff with this on the slow speed. But realistically, I think it's just a novelty. That's my opinion on it. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it down below. But realistically, this is no substitute for a 3D printer. And as far as printing on clothing and stuff like that, I don't see how that's really practical, because the second you throw it in the washer, you brush it, the stuff's just going to come right off. It doesn't stay on as good as if you just went to the craft store and got those like 3D paints that you put on shirts that actually can make it through a washing. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. I don't really do reviews like this where it's like I really dislike a product, but I had high expectations for this, and I really thought that it was going to work great for fixing those gas caps. I thought it was going to work great for like making little cubes and little shapes and little pyramids, and it just frankly isn't. But I guess they can't all be good. All right, take it easy, guys. Until next time. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, favorite, and subscribe. It helps me a bunch. Also, come follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I love interacting with you guys.